Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Just into race clear. He's got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy! Back here for Fatawu. Oh, he scored an absolute belter. That is trademark Abdul Fatawu.
This one into the box. Nugent over the top. Oh, what a goal! David Nugent's just scored a beauty. He's made Forest look like fools.
Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Hey, I'm Luke. Welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. Joined today by Elm, Mr. Willoughby, who looks like he's absolutely rocking a band right now. He's looking awesome. What a vibe you are, my good friend. Kate, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Luke. I'm glad you decided to don your Aussie attire as well during the intro.
Yeah, there you go. You got my classic. Everyone calls it a vest. It is a singlet. It is starting to warm up. As you can see, the sun is shining behind me and sunny down under. Guys, who's fucking bored?
You're on mute, Ellen. If you're talking, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah. I love the fact that you're wearing a vest and I'm wearing a hoodie and then like a body warmer because it's fucking cold and the heating hasn't kicked in yet. So
in the exact same boat with that. But also, Luke, horrifically bored. Yes.
So bored. I'm starting to look around a bit. You know, Kate's got like a really nice looking knitted sweater. Elm's got a cool background and a jacket. Willoughby looking absolutely
Michael
sexy.
slept outside.
This is a vibe right now. I'm enjoying it. Everyone, just look at this video. We don't even need to talk. Guys, I'm so bored. I was saying to Locke before we started, I don't ever want to go live. I'm paranoid. I've got nothing to talk about. But I've written some cool things here. We're gonna wing it. Guys, get in the comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about, or do you want to just check out what we're wearing? I'll come to you first, Elm, mate. What have you been up to on this international break? Bit of time to decompress and have a break from football.
yeah, I'll be honest. So I was ill just before Swansea. So I've spent this week sort of trying to relax a little bit because, well, my wife is ill now as well. So, you know, just trying to not watch as much football as possible. Get on with daily life. You know, go to the gym and work out, and that's about it really. It's starting to turn. It's quite cold here today, and it will be for the next week or so. So it's just prepping for the cold weather.
Oh, okay. Just that's you guys get a lot of overcast weather. I hear you guys complain a lot over there. You have a, what do you call it, seasonal depression because it rains so much, right? Like, I can't imagine that. Quickly in some comments here. Mr. Fatawu is bored as well. I'm with you, brother. Hello to you, Gary. Hello, Canal. Hello to Delba. I think that's Ryan. If that's you, Ryan. How are you, good sir? Don't worry, I'm not going to kick you today. Craig. And we got Mr. Craig from Foxes. Foxes on the Box. Go check them out, guys. They're pretty cool. They're from America. They do some good content. And like and share all. Thank you, Craig. Mr. Elm, good sir. How have you been? You look like you've had a little bit of a... Have you done some maintenance on your mustache, by the way? I can't stop looking at you. I'm definitely 10% gay today.
Mr. Elm is not my name, good sir.
Mr. Elm?
I was like, you're coming to me again? Bloody hell.
Mr. Willoughby, I'm sorry, dude. I'm just waking up from a nap.
A little maintenance, a slight change of scenery in here as well. I've moved houses. I do a lot of house sitting for just people's dogs and so on and so forth. So I'm always somewhere different. But yeah, no, sort the sides out. Top's still nice and bushy. I've been horrifically ill this last week, so I imagine I had the same thing as Elm. That is some of the bleakest days of my life, staring up at the ceiling. So I've had a very relaxing day yesterday where I did the square root of nothing other than just clean clothes and tidy my dirty room. So yeah, lovely.
Mate, I'm glad you're feeling better, but what a fucking enigma you are, dude. Like, I've seen you in like shorts of my YouTubers and a scientist outfit. Now you're house sitting houses. You've got these different companies. Who are you, bro? You are a complete mystery. I'm just fucking with you, brother. Kate,
you're such a flirt, man.
What's that, sorry?
I said you're such a flirt.
Yeah, I know. Okay, what have you been up to on this international break? Are you bored?
Yeah, I'm really bored. So just doing the usual stuff, working, gymming, seeing a few friends. The darts is here in Leicester this weekend, the Grand Prix darts, the finals tonight. So I'm really looking forward to that. So it's just boring, isn't it, without football? It's good to have a break, but this second international break in quick succession is just a bit dull, isn't it? And it's just, I'm over it.
Yeah, good luck next week. Next year, it's going to be, there's a 3-week international break in the November one.
Though, isn't it? They're merging them.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, guys, before I ask this question that I've written down here for everyone. This is going to sound controversial, but I don't understand it with the Brits that love darts. Every time I watch a darts competition, it looks like professional fucking ugly people that take a weird game way too seriously. I'm sorry. Every time you watch a darts tournament, they're all like proper chunky fucking like look like piss heads down the pub. Like, I don't get it.
It's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. And it's kind of had a resurgence and a renewed interest because a 17-year-old, he was 16 when he came on the scene, is just absolutely killing it. And he's in the final tonight as well. So.
And he looks 45. I know exactly who you're talking about, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, they're not there for adverts for beauty products. Like, if Michael's going to do any of his supplement advertising, don't ask a darts player. But yeah, it's part of British culture, I think, and it's flipping tense. If you turn into a darts match, it's really quite entertaining and it's pretty quick. So yeah, it's good fun.
I'm glad you like it. I don't get it. I don't hate on it either.
It's also a bit like pantomime, right? Because you have like the good and the evil both at the same time. So and the fans get on one side of them, tend to be anyway. If not a massive fan of darts myself though, personally, I don't greatly see the appeal like you, Luke.
Yeah, I genuinely don't get it. Steve, do you play darts?
No. It's like there's like 4 things that I just won't watch, and golf and darts are 2 of those. Like, I just can't be bothered. I like cricket. Cricket's a weird thing because I like cricket is a bit like golf in the sense of you just sit there and watch for ages. But no, I'd never watch sort of darts either. It's just boring.
Oh, cricket as well. No, I can't watch cricket even though I'm Aussie. I cannot get into cricket. I don't mind playing it at the backyard, but golf as well, man. Like, I've tried so hard to get into it. My mates like it. My dad likes it. If you want to see me rage, man, I want to wrap a club around someone's fucking head by about par 3 because it's just like 100 things. It's like the ball's gone to the right. Oh, you've just got to hold the club this way. Okay, this time you look too soon, and this time you did this. It's like, shut the fuck up. Fuck this game. I don't like it. Then you want to do a Happy Gilmore, and then it's it. I'm finished. Anyways, that's my rant about golf. Sorry.
Excellent.
I hate golf. I hate fucking cricket. Anyways, guys, what do you think, in all honesty, that Marty has been working on in this international break? It's the one good thing about it. We forget that he came in late. He got his players in late. What do you think is the biggest thing he's been working on? Because for me, I would still imagine it would be the number 10 position and who really fits that role. I definitely think we're going to see a lot more rotation with Ramsey and Donkey over Reed, but I'm kind of hoping that Ramsey's going to start when he comes back. And it's interesting, if you go ahead and check out on the channel the great video that Duck and Anil just put together, I think we had like 6 or 7 players that have all been trialled in the number 10 position, including the Rat El Canoes. Elm, if you had to pick one thing that you think he's been tweaking a lot, Marty, what do you think it would have been?
Well, the 10 for sure, but also probably the striking position. Playing those runs in behind. Because you've not got IU, and I don't think that could go on international duty this week. So if him and Carranza are there, then I'm guessing they're doing sort of formation prep and what he wants from his strikers to do. Because Daka is doing those sort of runs that you'd expect, but there's no finishing there. So if Carranza can get up to speed and do those sort of runs in behind and can finish, then I think we'll see him starting a lot more. But yeah, I think the attack, because the defense seems pretty solid right now. So I guess it's just the attacking areas that we need to work on.
Couple of things that Elm just mentioned there, Michael. Do you think I agree defense is solid except Luke Thomas, who I'm going to have a section for talking about him later. But do you think Carranza yet warrants a start? Or are you still going to stick with Daka up top?
I mean, I wouldn't stick with Daka up top. I would most probably go back to Ayu because he was the one that I thought performed the best so far. I'd have to agree that those are the 2 positions that you'd want to be working on over this period. That sort of link-up play between the 10 and the striker, because as I mentioned in the last podcast, we rely way too heavily on going out wide. Now I know that's the very nature of what we're going to be facing this season. Teams dropping in deep, packing the midfield. We are going to have to find, alternate ways. But that is why Marty has paid the big bucks. He's got to earn his gravy and he's got to find a way to make it work. We saw Ramsey start to try and click a little bit. And maybe in that first game, he was just, maybe, I want to use the word excited, let's say, when he went in and got that red card a little bit early on. So I'm hoping he can be a man to unlock that for us. And as Ayew showed in his international break, he does know where the goal is. Could have fooled me this season, but he can do it. And on a little side note, that Ghana front four is unreal. I don't know if you lot have seen that. It's Fatawu, Kudu, Semenyo, and Ayew, which is quite fierce when you think about it. But yeah, it's a shame that Ayew is doing that, because I think Marty would have appreciated some time on the training ground to link him up potentially with Ramsey, or I still sort of hang my hat on Page as a possibility as well. But yeah, I think definitely just that link up between the 10 and the 9 will be huge.
So I was going to say, have you seen that Nketiah and Hudson-Odoi are also converting to Ghana now as well? So even more of an attack.
That I didn't see that, but that is fantastic, and that most probably moves Ayew to the. I mean, he might actually be Ghana's captain. To be fair, I imagine he's been a bit of a stalwart for them over the last 15 years. But you could see Nketiah being the sort of the next man in line for that.
Okay, I agree with Michael about Ayew up top. He's probably my preferred choice, and I don't think he's an out-and-out striker, but I think he's performed the best out of all of them. But the biggest problem was that he was expected to, drop deep, link up play, but he was never there. They had the pace to re-arrive back in the box to re-receive the ball. Do you think now that we've got Ramsey, who looks like he was settling into that position quite a lot towards the end of that spell he had, do you think that we could keep him up top, or we're going to have to complete system change just to accommodate Ayew? Because what's interesting is Ayew was not started 2 consecutive games. I thought, I really feel like Marty is really good at his man management. We'll talk about that later, but I do still feel like he is trying to figure out his best 11. And the fact that he started Daka a consecutive time indicates that maybe he does rate him just because of his pace and pulling apart defence.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's probably got his starting 9, hasn't he? It's just the 9 and the 10 that are giving him a bit of a headache because he's just not producing enough. So I still quite like Bobby in that position because I think he's got enough energy. He's got way more energy than Ayew has, for example, I think, in terms of being able to get in the box as well and just put bodies in the box. So Daka's done okay. I understand why Michael likes Ayew. I think he can offer a lot. Like I said, second half Ayew for me is where he comes into his own. First half Ayew probably drives you around the bend a little bit because his energy doesn't seem on par with others, but he's a marathon, not a sprinter. Yeah, it's a bit of a headache, that number 9 position. I'd like to see Carranza more because we haven't seen enough and he's only on loan. I do think he's got the energy. He's 25, is he? So he's got the energy. He tends to come deep and get it and be able to run back into the box. He's very physical. I think he's perhaps going to have to learn a bit that the yellow card barrier is much lower over here potentially because that could be a problem. But I like that. As long as he can be cute about it, which is what Vardy used to do, then just carry on as you are, but just be mindful that the ref will be looking at you. So yeah, it's an ongoing headache really, but we've got to see more of Carranza because if we do want to buy him, we need to know exactly what we're getting. And he could be great. Marty did say he'll need time. Then he's got to give him it. He's got to give him literal time on the pitch. But I still think Bobby has a chance at doing that number 10 if Ramsey doesn't perform. Ramsey's a different player to what his highlight reel will suggest. He had a horror injury, a very bad case of that injury as well from what I've read, so he's probably still working his way back from that a bit as well. So
something that you made me think about that I hadn't thought about, which is like a sort of growing trend in football, is this sort of idea of starters and finishers. And I wonder if maybe that's where we will see you alluded to it, Daka as the starter, Ayew as the finisher, because there's something that we saw particularly more in the Premier League is that Ayew has just that bit of knowledge, just to take a tumble, jump up, feel that on the back of my head, hold a game out. And you can see maybe Wrexham where we threw it away late, and if you go the other way round, does having that sort of experience in the team mean you can hold out for a win? I actually would say I quite like the idea of that, Kate. I think it's a good recommendation.
I think you're right as well, Michael, is because you see a lot of I think Arteta's big on starters and finishes. Every time Trossard starts, he's rubbish, and every time he comes off the bench, he fucking lights it up. So he's
Martinelli the exact same. Marino always
same.
finishing a game,
Even as far back as Solskjaer starting just left you frustrated at times,
And Ric Flair made a very good point in regards to Mavididi and Monga. In that situation, you want to be the person coming onto the pitch after 65 minutes where your fullback's tired, don't you? So, I'm guessing when Mavididi comes back, it'll be a case of Monga starts for a bit and then you bring him on and he's a bit more... Sorry, I'm just changing the people that we're talking about. But you'd want to be that person that comes on and attacks the defence when everyone's tired. I think you can have more of an impact in that sense. So I think IU would be better as to come on when they're a bit more tired. He's not got the pace, but if you've got quick wingers either side, him holding up the ball and laying it off to wingers or the cam to give sort of runs ahead, that's how we should be playing. But I think right now, I don't think he's got the balance quite correct. And I think this may be what he's working on as well. The last 10 minutes of the game.
Can I just, that's nicely segued into something I was going to talk about, that Luke's question of what might Marty be working on. Man management of Mavididi, this guy needs a lot of encouragement and a lot of confidence boosting and a lot of touchy-feely stuff, I think, to be honest. So I'm wondering what kind of conversations would be happening with Monga obviously out the camp for a bit. What's going on with Mavididi in terms of, he's definitely not out the race. This isn't a guy who's going to eclipse, come in, and that's his position forever if Monga's going to be this player that we think he is. Mavididi definitely still has a place, but we don't want sulky Mavididi. We don't want half-arsed Mavididi because he's worried and concerned and low in confidence. We want the best Mavididi. So that's a real ongoing project, I think, for Marty.
A precarious one as well. You raise a good point, Kate. Because I constantly imagine this as well, to be honest with you. You just got me thinking, I wonder what Marty's going to do, because it's so obvious that his confidence is on the floor. He's really devoid of it, and he got messed about last season. He couldn't get a consistent run. As poor as we were, we all thought that he should have been the starting left winger, and the times that he did come on, he looked absolutely brilliant. But what's sad is, just like I mentioned, the confidence. And now with Monga on the ascendancy, we want to see, obviously, as much of him as possible, because there's a very good chance he might not even be here next season, and he's only going to be 17 by then, which is mental. So you obviously want to watch and see this absolute gem just blossom and develop before our eyes while he's still here. But at the same time, you don't want to absolutely ruin Mavididi as a player. And now, does Marty put an arm around, quietly, by the way, and discreetly around Monga and say, listen, brother, you're an absolute phenom champion. You are going to be one of the best players on the world, with an arm around his shoulder while he's saying this. But right now, we need to manage Mavididi. We need
to Michael, mate.
Mate, he needs to put an arm around this kid and just tell him, look, you are the fucking son of God. You are the child. You were born to play football. He's going to glaze him through the tits with a fucking Spanish accent, but then he's going to finish it with, but you understand that Mavididi is a great player too. He's a great player that you can look up to. You can look up from him. But we need to keep this kid's confidence intact. If I just keep playing you, mate, this guy's fucking wheels are going to fall off. He's going to fall apart. And then the next thing you know, he makes a beeline, makes an exit left, and he goes to Mavididi and be like, brother, you are the fucking man, bro. What is up with you? You know you're an absolute machine of a player. You can take your man on. You're fast. You're quick. You're good on the ball. You can do step-overs. Where the fuck have you been? Don't worry about Monga. He's got a lot to learn just yet. You are starting next week, my son. I need you to set that on fire, because we all remember Mavididi was a fucking monster in the championship. Granted, he had
15 goals or something like that he scored.
A heap of assists. We all remember that Birmingham game when he sat with his arms crossed against the thing. I liked him. He had character. He talked shit to the fucking scumbag Leeds fans who need to fucking bend the knee. I can't wait for them to get relegated as well, the scum. But I love that video of him brushing his teeth. What do you think he does? I know he's got on a massive rant, guys. I'm sorry, but you got me thinking about what he's been saying. You know what I mean? Anyways.
I wonder if we've seen the best of Mavididi, though. That's the problem. I don't think he's going to reach those heights again. Because 18 months ago he was lighting it on fire, but the team was different. We had Dewsbury Hall that was running on behind and Ndidi running on behind. So the tactics aren't the same. We don't have those two cams that can push on and give width and an extra sort of ball to pass it through to. And we've got Luke Thomas and Ricardo. Ricardo's coming inside. Hang on, sorry, I'm going to cough. But Luke Thomas isn't that overlapping fullback that we've had previously. And that's the issue.
I'm sorry, did you just mute when you coughed? That was so polite. Go on.
Yeah, I always mute when I cough. I don't want everyone else to listen to that. That's I've got a Steam Deck, so I just press a little button and then it's fine.
Sorry,
so yeah, not having that overlapping fullback is also sort of cutting his angles off because then he has to cut inside. So 18 months ago or 2 years ago, Mavididi had all these things going for him, but he doesn't now. So I think maybe we have seen the best of him. And, you know, unfortunately, this might be the slow decline that, or maybe even rapid decline, depending on how you look at it, of a winger that realistically there's a young lad beneath him that we shouldn't be taking minutes away from just to keep somebody in the team that might not be able to provide goals and assists as regularly as he should do.
Yeah, he does end up looking really isolated out on the wing. He gets the ball and he slows it down, does a few step overs, looks up and goes, oof, I've got a lock. And it doesn't, the problem is we do the same thing with Fatawu, but he has just that little bit more about him where he can create half a yard for himself on the edge of the box and take a shot or whip a ball into the back post. I believe it was against Coventry, if I'm not mistaken, or it could have been against West Brom. I might be getting my games mixed up. I think we're talking about Mavididi in a different light if he scores that chance where he went through on goal and just rolled it straight into the keeper, because his head is completely different at that point. Because I think at moments he was also the man in that championship season who was going to beat 2 or 3 players, cut in and shoot. It was actually infuriating to watch him never cross a ball and just be a lone player. I think there's been enough signs of life in there to say that he can still reach at least the level that we thought he was. But I do believe that level is still below like a Premier League standard of a winger.
I just got one. You made me think something just real quick. Kate, you mentioned this. I think it was the last game that Monka played against Swansea, and I think it was either that or Wrexham where you said that like he proper left Luke Thomas exposed in that game, and you're the only person I highlighted. I didn't think he had a bad game, but because of how high his ceiling is and how good he is, I did think it was one of his better games. I didn't have too much to criticize him, but I think you're at the game. You've noticed that. One thing that I think people forget about Mavididi when he was at his best was he used to track back and used to help out in defence really well. So did Fatawu. It was one of the greatest things about the Enzo system. And it's something that we haven't seen for a while. He doesn't get enough credit for it. Do you think that there is still a use for Mavididi, or do you think Elmer's right? It's over? Because there's a comment here from Imran, which I don't agree with. Mavididi is fast, but he's not. Hang on, not that one. His class don't make sense. Poor end product as well. Needs to work on his left foot. I agree with that, but he said here we have to just admit it. Mavididi is shit. Poor attitude. Get rid. Do you think we get rid of him in January? That is super harsh. I don't think he has a poor attitude.
No.
He's never tried pushing for a move. I don't know what that's about, Imran.
No, I wouldn't go that extreme. I know Imran gets really frustrated with him, and I do at games as well, actually. But I completely understand Elm's point of view. I'd not really considered it before. Like, have we seen the best? And that's quite a scary thought, considering the guy's age. Is he 27? So that's quite depressing to think about, to be honest. But right now, yeah, you know, my point about Monga still stands. But similarly, it's in reverse as well. Like, Luke doesn't support him when we attack either. The overlap of the wing backs is really poor. And I don't know why that is, because we've got quite capable wing backs that can push forward and help and support. And we can hold on to the ball long enough for it to not be a risk of a counter attack. So I would like to see both help each other out more, because otherwise the wingers are just really isolated. Like, Luke Thomas can look isolated as well. You feel like he's in no man's land sometimes. And there just needs to be that harmony, and I think we're missing that. And that's again where Marty earns his crust. I think you've got to always conscious of what's happening with your teammate, particularly on the person on the same wing as you. And Monga just doesn't really cover that so much, which is frustrating. But he's so young, like he's perfecting his own craft. We actually had a conversation at the game the other day, because we were talking about the youngsters and just little kids that we know that we've been invited to Seagrave and stuff, and the size of pitches. And we were like, it's only like 2 and a bit seasons ago that Monga wasn't even on a full-size pitch. When you think about the age of the guy, like, it's pretty sensational what he's been able to achieve. He's been 2 years in a full-size pitch and he can do what he can do. So, yeah, we need to go easy on him. There's not, you know, he's not going to be an overnight sensation, but he's so exciting. But you just have to be patient with it, I think. And Mavididi will probably be helping Monga as well. But it just needs to start bearing some fruit. But the way we play at the moment is a bit isolating for the wingers, and you're not going to see the best out of them. We can't rely on worldies every week. Aside from the Swansea game was looking like a bit of a frustrating 1-1, or maybe 1-0 if Fass hadn't given away that penalty. It would have been a squeaky bum 1-0 as well. Like, we can't keep relying on worldies. It's not going to happen every week.
I do think that Mavididi will be, so if he comes back into the team now with JJ, we saw some bright shoots when he was in the same team together before he got injured, Mavididi. And so JJ's that box-to-box midfielder that does the sort of KDH role that he had before, so he can push into those attacking phases and get back in a decent time, and that will help Mavididi, because 2 years ago we had James Justin running around the outside. Now I don't think Luke Thomas is capable of doing that job, unfortunately. Christensen can, but I don't think Luke Thomas can. Yeah. If you bring Christensen in and have JJ doing that box-to-box as well, with the link-up play with Ramsey or whoever plays in the cam position, I think that will get the best out of Mavididi. And I think that's where, I think you start Mavididi and you bring Monga on for 20 minutes, half an hour at the end, and say, just run at the fullback. Just run. They're scared of you anyway. Just run. And I think that will help. So, yeah, I think this has probably been the most important international break we're going to have this season, because it gives him plenty of time to work with these players properly.
I was going to say, I didn't even think about it until I got onto this podcast and we were talking about the left-hand side. That my assumption is that Christensen didn't go away to Denmark because he's barely played a minute of football and he's had a long-term injury. Fitness, firstly, would be helpful to him, and working alongside. Now, I know Marty has been a bit of a fan of Luke Thomas. I think he's had some pretty positive things to say about him. But for all I don't particularly like Christensen, his work rate is fantastic, and having the over or underlapping runner of a fullback is going to make Mavididi's life or Monga's life even better. So he could definitely be one to slot back in after the international break, or a little bit further down the line.
Okay, so you bring me into my next point perfectly. Thank you, Michael. If you remember, actually, they never linked up well at all, Christensen and Mavididi. It was like they refused to pass to one another. But you are right. He does. I've never seen him make many underlapping runs, but I've seen him make a lot of overlapping runs, Christensen, particularly when he first came to the club under Rodgers. I don't like him much either. I think that he can't string a ball together on the ground. Everything's just a cross in the box, which we never had any really to get on the end of, which might be different now with Carranza and a few others. But I have to admit, though, because I used to wind Duck up a lot, I do think Christensen's a fraud and a waste of money, but I've got to admit, he's better than Luke Thomas. Guys, I want to ask all of you this. There's only one glaring problem that we have in this starting 11, and that is Luke Thomas. I cannot believe we extended his contract. I know he's a Leicester lad. What does, other than pocketing Salah, what does Luke Thomas do well? What does he bring to the team that is good? Everyone says, he had a half-decent game. If anyone's ever said in a score review or any of the ratings we've done that he's had a half-decent score, it's because he's not done anything tragic. It's not he's done anything good. He wasn't bad enough for us to rinse him. What does he bring to the team? Okay, what does Luke Thomas actually bring to the fucking team? Because in my opinion, I know you're not going to be as harsh as me, but I think he brings nothing. I think he is a nothing player. I think he is a passenger like Skip. It is a waste of time. It is redundant to play him. I like everything about Marty, but if he keeps playing him, I'm going to start getting wound up because it's a waste of time. And giving him a contract extension was fucking stupid. Thanks so much, Rudkin, you absolute moron.
Get off the fence, Luke. Come on. So I think we can tell by how the debates go on. Like, I don't like Christensen. I completely understand what Michael says. He offers that movement into the box, and he will take the guy on and go into the opposition's half, always really deep, always round the outside and try and get a cross in. And I really admire that. His work rate is second to none. It actually reminds me a bit of Albrighton. His fitness is absolutely insane, and he always puts a full shift in. But I don't think defensively I think I'm a bit indifferent between him and Thomas. And I think that's the problem, is that we've got such a debate around this point because it's personal preference of who is the best out of a bad bunch. And I think that's where we're at. We haven't got anybody that really stakes their claim to be the starter who has got a Fuchs level of quality. But we've got a difference of opinion between fans because they offer some things and they don't offer something. I find Luke steadier defensively than VK, but attacking wise, he's way more limited. He's afraid to go over his own halfway line, so that's frustrating. But similarly, Christian does attack better. Has Luke just turned off his camera to have a rage at this?
I think the light was shining through. He was ascending for some reason. So.
Oh, okay. It's. I find whoever plays is probably the best of a bad bunch, to be honest. We haven't got a great left back to put in that's a shoe-in, and I think it's personal preference, and it's probably shown that way actually with the different managers we've had, that each have a different personal preference, and that's how I feel about it.
I also feel like when you're playing the ball out from the back, Luke Thomas, like, he looks like a deer in headlights whenever he gets the ball, and that's because he's got no right foot. He always has to pass back inside or up the line and it goes out of play. Whereas with Christensen, he looks a little bit more composed, not significantly more, but a little bit more composed on the ball. And I think he plays that position better. But I guess it also doesn't help that when Luke Thomas gets the ball, it's always pinged at him so fast that he has to try and control it, and he can't do two things at once. So he has to try and control it and then think of where to pass, and he just shuts down. So yeah, I would prefer Christensen. I don't like either. I think we should have potentially brought in a new left back in the summer, but funds weren't there to do it, unfortunately. But we might see some movement in January.
If we've re-signed him, it's probably because of that. There's no replacement coming in the future. But similarly, I don't mind it. I mean, in a way, you could see it as good, because I think Luke Thomas, if he has an okay season, he will attract some interest from Championship clubs. And if that signing of the contract gets us an extra 5 million, then I'd thank Rudkin very much. So it's you know what I mean? It just depends how
£5. I don't think it'll be 5 million. It'll be £5.
£5, yeah.
It looks like he'd be good at darts though still. Michael, there's a comment here from Craig, just to finish this up on Luke Thomas, because I don't agree with this. Craig says here, Luke Thomas is still young and has time still. He's not still young. He's young, but he's 24. All right, if you're not going to make it now, you never are. You've been chewed up and spat out by 3 other clubs. I would be lucky for another Championship club to come in my opinion. Maybe that was the reasoning behind Rudkin giving him a ludicrous contract extension to try and not have another player go on a free. But for God's sakes, I don't think we're going to lose that much money on Luke Thomas. Michael, I've got to ask you, speaking of players that are young, though, there is one that we're all forgetting about and one that we all thought would be starting week in, week out most games. Ben Nelson can't even make the bench now. What are your thoughts on that? Because he is now 21, I believe. That is not longer a kid where, like, if he doesn't get a loan move in January, he might be another Will Alves, in my opinion. Like, I definitely think he's better than him, or what we expect from him for that position. I know, granted, they're 2 different positions, but I am now starting to be a bit worried because he had that stinker in the Carabao Cup, and we've not seen him since, not even off the bench.
Yeah, I had really high hopes for Nelson going into the season. I have a bunch of friends who are Oxford fans, and even throughout last year, I was like, "What's the deal with Nelson?" And they're like, "He would start for you in the Premier League." Now, that didn't say much because our centre backs were shipping goals for fun, or just the defence in general. I am surprised we haven't seen more of him. My assumption is he's going to become quite unhappy because he was playing a lot of games last season at the same level, doing really well. And, you know, I thought he'd be a starter for us. But both Marty and Enzo, in their points in the Championship, have turned to that back line and said, we're going to pick you two because you are the most experienced. And for all of Faze's and Vestergaard's flaws as Championship centre-backs, they are most probably as good as you can get. So,
do you think, Michael, because of how Nelson plays, he's more similar to Vestergaard than Fass? Do you think that's the problem? Because it's not a case of, play Vestergaard and Nelson. It's actually they'd want to, Vestergaard doesn't look replaceable at the moment.
Yeah. It's either Vestergaard and Okoli or Faze and Nelson. And I think if you stick anyone next to Faze, it's always a difficult game for you, particularly if you're young. I don't think you're going to get a lot of help. I think Vestergaard, we are very reliant on him for build-up play. And again, I don't like to heap too much praise on either of those two centre-backs because they've let us down on so many occasions. They've given me some of the worst days as a Leicester fan watching us get relegated back-to-back times, twice in 3 seasons, or whatever it is. But yeah, no, at this point in time, I don't particularly think you can drop them. We're not conceding a great deal of goals. We look fairly solid at the back. I think it's going to be hard now for either Okoli or Nelson to come in. As 3rd and 4th choice centre-backs, they are fantastic, but I'm sure both of them see themselves as better than that. So I imagine they'll be knocking on the door. I think if Oxford have any amount of finances in January, they'll be asking for a loan deal on Nelson for the remainder of the season. And you know, at least he's getting game time, because at 21 he's still developing. He hasn't, you know, he's had one season in the Championship, and other than that, I don't really know what else he's done. So I hope at some point we can utilize him, but I just don't really. I think where Leicester is, we're not in a position to sort of nurture him right now, and I think that's a bit of a worry.
And so he just, I think I'll move to you for this, Elm, but yeah, Michael, I think he was at Oxford last season and they just got promoted. So he's had time at Oxford, and the rest of the time he's been on the bench and not really made the squad. So if he's still developing, you want him playing as much football as possible, because if you aren't going to use him and you're going to sell him, you want to maximize profit, because it will be pure profit because he's a Leicester Academy player. Also, one thing we're all forgetting as well, we've got Sutar looming as well. Do you think he's going to fight his way? I don't think so,
No.
Scott. I think he's finished his time at Leicester, unfortunately. One good comment here I want to come to you with, Elm, is Ben Nelson will be crucial next season. I think when you look at who could be leaving at the end of the season, depending on which league we end up in, I think so, but he needs to be playing for that to happen. If he's not playing, he needs to go out and loan. Another player that I want to ask you that should be going out and loan as well, is doing a lot of youth for the under 21s or 23s, is Golding. He's quite an integral player to that squad, but we paid $5 million for this guy. We all know it was a dodgy deal for Christensen and on the books for that season for Chelsea. Do you think there's a possibility for him to come into that 10 position, or do you think this is just one we need to put out on loan and sell?
I think he needs to go out on loan, mainly because, you know, he's still only 19, so he's got a lot of development to do, and I think he probably will go out. I know that they were looking at potential loan deals for him in the summer, but nobody came in that fit the criteria. So it might happen again in January, and he goes out on loan and plays more football, because he's still developing. You know, we spent a lot of money on him, and I think that unfortunately puts a big sort of point over his head. Everyone's like, well, we spent so much money on this guy, why is he not playing? Well, he's still young, so give him time. And in regards to Nelson, yeah, I think if Vestergaard was in his last year of his contract, we'd see more of him, because at that point you're like, well, we're shaking hands at the end of the season with Vestergaard, let him go. But he's been the most consistent defender we've had so far this season, Vestergaard, and it's really hard to drop somebody that really isn't conceding a lot of goals, is quite integral to how we play, and you know, he is very similar to Nelson. It is a shame, because I thought he'd step up this season. But yeah, next year, I think if we're in the Championship next season, he will play week in, week out without a shadow of a doubt, because we'll see Wout Fast leave, Sutar will go, Vestergaard will still be here, but, you know, it'd be 35 at that point. So, you know, you could probably sort of drop him out again and let him walk his dog around the training ground a bit more. You know, we might see Okoli a bit more as well. So, look, it really does. It does depend on what league we're in, really. Like, I think the club are desperate to get back into the Premier League because they need the money. You know, to make sure we don't fail PSR again, we need to be back in the Premier League. So, but will he start next season if we're in the Prem? I'm not sure. I think he'll go out on loan, or maybe we even sell him, because, you know, Chelsea came in for a bid with him last year with Enzo, and we rejected it. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, but it's very difficult to drop your best defender at the moment, isn't it? To bring a young lad in that didn't really do well against Huddersfield and hasn't really been featured since. But I do think he needs more minutes, that's for sure. But don't forget, we're only 9 games into the season. We've got loads of football to play. Vestergaard might pick up an injury next week, and then he plays, and then he doesn't come back in, and we keep Nelson in the team. So, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen in that time.
That's a great point. Kate, what do you think of the potential points deduction? If you were to take one, let's say hypothetically it was 10 points, would you have rather taken at the start of the season, so you know where we stand and where we can build from, or do you think that puts an extreme amount of pressure on the players who are now thinking every time you lose a game, it's twice as toxic, that negative 10 points is even more staring at you aggressively in the face? Or do you think it's better that, you know, we get some momentum, we win 4 or 5 games on the trot, then we get dealt a points deduction, and it's like, right, we've displayed that we can bend everyone over in this league. Now we just need to finish the season strong, and that points deduction means nothing. Or, Kate, do you think we're not even going to get one because it's gone proper quiet?
Well, the latest release was like 10 days ago, wasn't it? That it's now in wherever it is, this governmental quarters that it makes it sound like, where it sounds like people with brains are really doing it. But I think there will potentially be a points deduction coming. But my own view on that, a bit how I approach life, really, is control the controllables. Like, they can't impact it. They can't change anything about it. If that points deduction's coming, like, on one way, you could look at it as a good thing, because finally it will be put to bed, and all the talk about it will stop, and everything else. Like, we have done some things wrong. It's always an interesting point, and it's a point you can blow open for and talk about for hours as to whether they put a finger in the air to decide actually how many points they want to give people in deductions and how many other people get away scot-free. But really, the players can only control what they can control, and so can Marty, and so can Top now. Like, there's not a lot we can do. It's with this independent commission, and it shouldn't focus or derail what's going on the pitch, because we're doing okay. We are starting to gather some momentum. We're starting to knit things together quite well. Still work to be done. Still transfers need to happen, but you can't do that quickly. You can only wait for the windows to open. So I think the players will just have to drown out the noise a bit, which they've probably done for the last couple of seasons, because we were rumoured to have one last year, which I think massively derailed the management recruitment in that summer, and it never happened. You know, it's a lot of there's a lot of hearsay that can really impact the way you run the football club. So from the players' point of view, they can just control what they can control, crack on with the play on the pitch, and see where we're at. It's all incredibly close in the league, like incredibly close. So a 6-point deduction can see you plummet to the bottom half of the table, but that's a good thing as well if you need to make up the points.
I'm not worried about a point deduction, even if it does happen, because at this point in time, the league is very congested, but I think that's just because it's 9 games in. And I think as the season goes on, you'll see it sort of spread out. I did go back and have a look at the sort of last 3 seasons. So Sheffield United finished 3rd last season, and if you gave them a 22-point deduction, they'd still finish in the playoffs. We're not going to get a 22-point deduction. The season before, Leeds finished 3rd. You could have given them a 17-point deduction. Luton the year after that, and that was 11 points. I won't go past that because then my point doesn't sound as good. But I think we will be dining right at the top of the table at the end of this season. And I think if we can get anywhere near sort of 85 points, then I would assume we'd be finishing with, if a deduction happens, 85 points, and a deduction leaves us in the playoffs still. So I'm not overly concerned about it. And if anything, you know, we might even get some sort of like siege mentality where we say, you know, get the players to round up and say, fuck the EFL, let's have it, let's show them what we can do. The
only issue is if we get a points deduction, which will happen, I think it happens around about sort of middle of November time during the next international break. So I'm going to cough again.
Is there another international break?
Yeah, November. Yeah. So, and that's usually when these sort of things come out. And then it all depends on if we get another points deduction for PSR in sort of February, March, April time with the last accounting period. So we could technically get 2 points deductions this season. I don't think we will, but it could happen depending on what we spent last summer and where we fit in that sort of calculations. But the positive on all of that is the last £90 million deduction that we had, the loss that we had, that falls off of the books now at the end of this season. So actually, we're looking a lot healthier going forward. So we shouldn't have these issues, touch wood.
Good of a talking point here from Imran, good question. Because I remember this was going to be a problem last time we were here, but I don't think he went. Another talking point, how we'll do without Abdul when AFCON starts. In my opinion, we just move on.
They didn't qualify, did they?
They're not qualified.
No. Yeah, are you and Abdul stay?
You're sacked, brother.
It's only Daka that we lose, which, you know, it's not that much of an issue, is it? Let's be honest.
No, thank God. Take him. Good.
We'll say that. We've all just spoken about starting him.
That's how bad it is, Kate.
Bleak. Really bleak.
Do you think we will see Winks, Samari, Daka been given new contracts or sold in January? I pray that we can sell Daka in January for anything. I'd take a bag of crisps. Winks, I don't think is going to want to sign because of all the dramas and stuff he's had. I think he wanted out of the club. I'm super glad that he's playing really well. I think he's probably one of our best players at the moment and most important. But there's no way that he resigns, unfortunately. Samari, I actually want sold in January. I do think he's probably... He's been coming off the bench. He hasn't been absolutely honking. He's had half decent games, but it's been same old Samari. Good 1 week, missing another half decent the week after. He's never going to be consistent, and he's on big money, and he's at the end of his contract. So I would take anything we could from him right now just to recuperate some money, but unfortunately I don't see it happening. Probably chances are maybe a loan option. January is an interesting one, though. We still could see phase go. There's still a lot of players that we could see leave in January. We still need to move players out. We've done well to clear a lot of dead wood, but there is still people we need to move out and other players we need to send out on loan. What would you say to that, Michael? Do you think Samari goes in January?
I don't mind Samari going. I've seen enough of him. He's deceivingly brilliant at times and then just absolutely woeful at other points. One of the most frustrating football players I've ever come to watch, because I think there was a moment, maybe the start of last season, where I went, oh my God, we have got Paul Pogba regen. And I absolutely loved him. And Paul Pogba was one of my favourite players. And then he just flatters to deceive every single time. If he was to go, I think we now have a few options that can make it work. And you might end up getting something like 5 million for him, which I guess we'd take. Daka, yeah, I mean, sell him if you want, or cut your losses at the end of the season. We got a whole contract out of him. He might come in use at some point. And I certainly don't want to lose Winks though. I think he's been a real shining. I think that's one of the best things that Marty did. Well, at some point, I'm assuming he put an arm around him and said, mate, please, you are really a part of the plans here and you're really important to us. And I think the partnership he is starting to and will continue to drum up with Jordan in the middle of the pitch is absolutely huge. I think those two are most probably to the best centre mids in the league. So I think very important for our success this season if he stays.
I think actually Winks might sign a deal if we get promoted. I actually think he's the only one that I can see is offering a year contract to out of all of them, to be honest. And I wouldn't be against it as long as he's happy to be here and he's not, pulling up trees to get out after 6 months. I'm more than happy with that because he is the best midfielder we've got. We can't play this style of football without Harry Winks, unfortunately, because there's nobody that can do what he can do on the pivot. He's integral. So I'd be happy with it. I don't want Samari and Daka staying any longer. I think they've taken enough money out of this club, and it's time to part ways with both of them.
Yeah, Daka's been a complete, absolute waste of money, fraud. What the Zambian fans see him, I don't know. They're deluded morons that don't understand football. Skips another one as well. I'll be really happy to see go in January if someone.
The unfortunate thing about that though is if you're like, oh, let's get rid of Samari and get rid of Skip, it's like one injury to any centre mid, and it's like, oh no, we're playing Jordan Ayew at centre mid, and that's just bad. So you have to keep some of them, unfortunately.
Jordan Ayew.
Well, he is the man who can play he's the man who can kind of play anywhere on a pitch, I think.
He's that fucking centre back.
Yeah.
If he ever comes out wearing gloves, Jakob should be worried. Let's be honest.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with Michael. I think Winks is integral, as Elm said, and Samari and Daka. From a finance point of view and a squad point of view, it's going to be a 1 in, 1 out if we do get rid of those. If we've got someone better or with just whatever prospects are better to come in, then we'll get rid. That's kind of the what's the word, prerequisite with Leicester at the moment. It's a 1 in, 1 out kind of revolving door situation.
Guys, last question of the morning or the day over here. Does Daka starting now concern people that Cifuentes doesn't fancy Carranza too much, or that just down to Carranza's lack of proper match sharpness?
I fancy Carranza lots, if that's
I do too as well. I'm going to say it. I do too, Kate. I'm not,
I think it's the latter, right? I think he wanted to give all the strikers at least a few games of a run out. He gave Ayew a fair amount at the start. I think this is Daka's turn. And then after Daka, Carranza, and then he'll decide from there. Whoever has the best performances over this period of time. It's an audition effectively for a role that we just don't know who's going to be there at this point in time. Who's going to be there later on at this point in time.
That's what I genuinely feel like, Michael. I think that basically the 10 and the 9 are the two positions that have been essentially an audition. I do think there's an element of man management to Marty that I think is very good. It is a long season of a lot of games. But at the same time, I do think he's still figuring out his best starting 11, particularly as I just mentioned, between those two positions. Carranza may get a start now. He's had the international break to work with him. He's still betting into the English game. But unfortunately, I'm not that worried because he is a lone player. I think there's an option to buy, so we don't have to. I got to be honest with you. I know it's early days and maybe harsh, but I think he looks slow. I think that shot on goal he had the other day was like very tame. I would have just fucking sent top bins through the net. But who am I? I'm a guy down under.
You're a guy in a
talking
vest,
shit
is what you are.
with a singlet, slagging off darts and everything else like I'm fucking the next coming of I don't know, Christ, whatever, football Christ. I'll put a 5-a-side video up for me if you want, like, but
I can't imagine you playing football. Sorry, mate. Like, the way I picture you kicking a football is fucking mental. Like, you're wearing like in my head, you're wearing flippers. Do you know what I mean?
I've flippers. I've got 2 left feet, and I'm a right footer. And yeah, I think I'll just stick to my boxing. I'm still a hero in my eyes at 5-a-side, but yeah, no, I'm not that great. Don't worry. I can put a decent left hook on someone's chin, but. Guys, anything you want to say before we wrap this up? Elm, anything you want to see heading into this game against Portsmouth?
I'd like to see some consistency, actually. I don't think we need to change it up again. You know, go with a team that beat Swansea and go for them. You know, we had a 70-minute performance against Swansea where we were okay for 70 minutes, and then we had a 10 minutes either side of the half time. It was a bit poor. So I still want that 90-minute performance where we blow a team away and we actually put a benchmark down for this season, because we've seen Coventry, you know, 20 plus goal difference already, 27 goals this season. Like, I'm sick of hearing from them. So let's do it ourselves. Let's smash Pompey, right? Get sort of 5-6 goals on the board. That'd be quite nice. And then go into the midweek against Hull and Millwall with a lot of confidence, knowing that, you know, if anybody wants to come at us, by all means, do it. We'll smash you anyway.
I love it. I love it. Michael, what do you want to see?
The complete opposite to an extent. I just want to see like a really boring, controlled 2-0. I don't want to see us concede a goal. We've conceded too many sloppy goals, and I want to see a consecutive run of clean sheets where teams go, oh, fucking hell, we're not going to score a goal. We're going to only have the ball for 20% of the match. This is going to be the worst day of their life. And I think that is, in a way, equally mentally bruising. A nice, simple 2-0, lovely.
Yeah.
Kate,
start
what do you want to see?
Form that identity and personality people have spoken about for so long, and you just not make yourselves not a nice person for the opposition to play against at all, a sense of dread around it or a sense of frustration. But the only thing I wanted to say finally was that with the discussion about the number 9, the number 10, who links up and everything else, I still feel incredibly trusting in Marty, because I think he's a fair guy. He's low maintenance, low ego, which is exactly what I love about a manager. And I think whatever decision he makes, it will be on fairness and what he thinks will serve us best. So I don't think he's got any agendas. I don't think he's got any problems with players, like on a personal level. So you kind of know that at the moment I have quite a lot of confidence that he's picking the players for the right footballing reasons, and personal feelings don't even come into it.
What do I want to see? I agree with everything you just said, Kate. I want to see Jordan Ayew starting in the 6th position in a double pivot alongside Harry West.
He would win a lot of headers, if nothing else.
And fouls.
And fouls too. That's what we all want to see. And Bangladesh, that was what a goal. Obviously, that Asian Cup levels, you know, not that high with all due respect, but that was an absolute worldie. He scored from a free kick. It was confusing. I thought it was AI when I first watched it. I didn't believe it.
What, for Bangladesh? Is it for Bangladesh?
Yeah, he scored an absolute
I've not seen it. I'll have a look.
It's
okay.
a set
He can
piece.
score a worldie, Hamza.
From a set piece, he scores a free kick, and it was. I thought it was AI. It went in like a boomerang. I was just like,
set pieces are so shit. Get Hamza on free kicks.
No,
I think it was more hit and hope than anything, though.
What was that? Sorry,
I don't know.
I said that it was more hit and hope than anything, and then Michael said, yeah, he has to be on the pitch for that, though. So.
That's the problem, is you have to deal with him for the rest of the 90 minutes.
Like a roll-on, roll-off kicker, NFL style.
Yeah.
Guys, please go ahead. If you like this stream, please like it. And also, do us a favour. Everyone jump over to Lox's Twitter and ask him why he is a flat earther. Have a good weekend. Can't wait for the next game. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And
wait, Luke, before you go, make sure you go and vote for BTG at the awards.
Yes.
I'm glad someone switched on.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. I was 100% going to say that. I was just rudely interrupted. Just kidding.
Luke, have you got the link you can put in? I think Locks put the link on the chat the other day. Have you got the link you can put in the chat?
No, don't catch me off guard. I haven't seen it. Sorry, guys. Just figure it out. Just go on to football content.
I'll get it.
Thank you.
Guys, just figure it out.
Put it in the chat now. Yeah, so I think the
vote for us in something you don't even know the name
the
for.
voting might close today, so please get your votes in for new content creator. When you go into the page, there's like a category and select the right category, and we'll be in the list. So vote. Please.
Oh, I can't. I'm banned from posting a link, so I can't do it. Let me put it in the private. Somebody else can post it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Best, and it's for the league as well, for the championship. So I'm going to put it in the chat now. Okay. Now you can vote, I believe, more than once. So vote more than once. Vote twice. Get your mum, your dad, your cats, dogs, fucking everyone, your birds. Everyone's got to vote. Otherwise, we're going to lose every single game for the rest of the season. There is the link here. So thank you very much. That's the vote for, and make sure you put down as like a special thing that like Luke is 100% like carrying this channel. I've got sore shoulders. I'm carrying everyone. Everyone else is rubbish. I am the heart and soul of blue tinted.
Well, the best is carrying it, not you, mate. The best is
kidding.
carrying it.
Guys, please do it. Locks does do a lot of effort on this channel. He genuinely really deserves it. He's a top bloke on the stream and outside the stream. So I really hope he wins it. I think he deserves it a lot. And yeah. Big up to Locks, and
he's back this coming week, I think, isn't he? Normal service resumed this coming week, I think.
Yes, he was doing I think he was doing a seminar in Turkey about flat earthing, and he was getting new veneers. So I'm just talking shit.
And addressing his receding hairline.
Yeah.
Yes, addressing everything. Have a good weekend.
He's gonna come back looking like Danny Drinkwater, isn't he?
Yeah, proper sexy. Take care, guys.
See you later.
Big shout out to our new sponsor, The Beautiful Frame. They have absolutely smashed it with this Jamie Vardy piece. They're a local Leicester business as well, which makes it even better. And not just Leicester, they do prints for other clubs too. Honestly, perfect if you're stuck for a birthday or Christmas present. The best bit, they've sorted Blue Tinted Glasses followers with a discount. Just use the code BTG12 at checkout for money off. Grab yours now at thebeautifulframe.com. The link is in the description of the video.